To really unpack this, we'll start by defining what this body energy actually is and look at the 5 distinct jobs it handles. Then, we'll meet the specific teams doing the heavy lifting, uncover a pretty wild secret about what your energy does at night, and finish up with some highly actionable ways you can...
I worked as a banker for 30 years, but now I work as an acupuncturist.
Let's jump right in, shall we? Welcome to this explainer, where we're decoding a concept from Eastern medicine that sounds kind of mystical at first, but is actually incredibly practical. We're talking about your body's energy fortress. Today, we're going to break down exactly how this invisible workforce operates, how it protects you, and most importantly, how you can actually build it up.
So if you've ever studied even a little Japanese, you probably know the standard greeting, Genki desu ka? People usually translate it simply as, how are you? But if you look at the root of the phrase, it's actually asking if you have enough of your original energy, your chi, to keep from getting tired or sick. It is literally asking about the foundational state of your health.
Because here's the thing, chi isn't just some abstract floating aura. You really want to think of it as a highly organized team of workers pulling off very specific, essential tasks inside of you. It's an invisible, busy workforce that clocks in every single day just to power your organs, defend your borders, and keep your internal environment totally stable.
To really unpack this, we'll start by defining what this body energy actually is and look at the 5 distinct jobs it handles. Then, we'll meet the specific teams doing the heavy lifting, uncover a pretty wild secret about what your energy does at night, and finish up with some highly actionable ways you can boost your own reserves.
Okay, so let's start by figuring out what this energy looks like in action, or rather, what happens when it goes missing. The easiest way to understand the value of this workforce is to see what happens when it's totally understaffed. When your original energy is low, your body's overall resistance just plummets. You know the feeling, right? You're constantly exhausted, you catch every single cold that goes around the office, and your immune system is just weak. Illness basically slips right through the cracks of your weakened fortress. If any of this is sounding a little too familiar, it means your internal workforce is spread way too thin.
To prevent that, we really need to understand the 5 specific jobs this energy performs to keep you going strong.
What's really fascinating here is how 5 simple, everyday verbs can completely summarize our incredibly complex biology. Number 1 is moving. Your chi is the literal engine pushing blood and fluids through your veins. Number 2, defending. It actively guards your skin against outside invaders. Number 3 is warming, basically acting as your internal thermostat. Number 4 is processing, which turns that sandwich you had for lunch into usable fuel. And finally, number 5, holding. This acts like a valve to make sure you don't leak precious fluids when you shouldn't.
It is an absolute perfect balancing act. Just think about the dynamic between processing and holding for a second. If your processing energy is weak, you won't extract nutrients from your food. But if your holding energy is weak, you might sweat excessively and just lose what you just made. So one team is manufacturing the fuel, and the other is making sure it actually stays in the tank. Now that we know what the jobs are, let's meet the specialized teams that are actually pulling this off.
Just like a massive corporation, your body's workforce is divided into highly specialized departments, and they live in very specific parts of your fortress. First up, gathering chi. This team lives right in the center of your chest, powering your heart and lungs. Next is nutrient chi, which lives deep inside your blood vessels, constantly flowing. And finally, on the outer edges, you have defensive chi. These are the guards actively patrolling the walls of your skin and muscles.
Let's look at gathering chi as a practical example. Because it lives in the chest and runs the lungs, it directly controls your voice. So if you, or maybe someone you know, can only manage this weak, thin, airy voice, or if you run out of breath super quickly while talking, well, that's a massive red flag that the gathering chi in your chest is running on empty. It's a very physical clue to an invisible energy shortage.
Which brings us to one of my absolute favorite concepts in this entire explainer, how your defensive chi behaves when the sun goes down.
This perfectly explains a universal human experience. Have you ever wondered why we are so incredibly vulnerable to getting sick when we sleep? Here's the secret. During the day, your defensive chi is right there on the surface of your skin, fighting off cold breezes and germs. But the second you go to sleep, that defensive team clocks out and retreats deep inside your body to restore your organs. And that leaves your surface completely and utterly unguarded.
And this is exactly why we use blankets. Because your natural energy shield goes off duty to rest, we literally use physical blankets to replace it. This is why you can doze off on a perfectly warm afternoon and wake up shivering, or why leaving a window cracked at night practically guarantees you'll catch a cold. Blankets aren't just for warmth, they are literally your artificial energy shield while your natural guards are taking a well-deserved break. How cool is that?
Okay, so understanding the fortress is awesome, but let's talk about how to actually reinforce those walls and build up your energy.
To manufacture fresh qi, your body pulls from 3 primary sources. First is your innate essence, basically the genetic baseline you got from your parents. Now, we can't really change that one. But the other 2, the essence of the food and water you consume and clean air from breathing, these are the 2 massive levers we can pull every single day, in simple English, to hire new workers for our internal workforce.
And the beauty of this is how completely actionable it is. If you want to boost your energy, Eastern medicine says you start by fixing your gut. If your digestion is wrecked, it literally doesn't matter how healthy your diet is, your body just won't be able to process it into energy. Step 2, breathe deeply. Flooding your lungs with clean air directly builds up that gathering qi in your chest. And step 3 is wild. Rub your skin. Taking a dry towel and creating friction on your skin actually stimulates and wakes up that outer defensive qi we talked about.
There's a really beautiful logic tying this all together. In this system, the lungs and the skin are tightly connected. They're basically 2 halves of the same breathing system. So taking deep breaths actually pushes defensive energy out to fortify your skin. And conversely, vigorously rubbing your skin with a towel sends a signal back to strengthen your respiratory system. It's an absolutely perfect connected loop.
So as you go about the rest of your day, take a second to check in with your invisible workforce. Are you digesting your food properly? Are your breaths shallow right now? Go ahead and take one deep breath with me right this second to start fortifying your fortress. And let me leave you with this. If your natural energy shield is clocking out tonight, what are you doing right now to make sure it's strong enough to protect you tomorrow? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.
I worked as a banker for 30 years, but now I work as an acupuncturist.